Lysosomes are mainly the key enzymes which are responsible for the hydrolytic action or the enzymatic digestion in the cell. कोई भी foreign body material आता है, it is digested mainly by the lysosomal enzyme. Lysosome is mainly composed of enzymes and also the acid hydrolases. The enzymes are mainly acid hydrolases. So if there is deficiency of any one of these enzymes, the complex material which was supposed to be degraded by the lysosome gets accumulated in the cell. That is why the name is lysosomal storage disorder. So there is incomplete catabolism of that complex substrate which was supposed to be degraded by the lysosome, followed by the accumulation of that metabolite in the lysosomes, which is known as primary accumulation, and followed by defective autophagy. Now these cells are supposed to undergo autophagy, but because of the defective accumulation of their product in the lysosome, the cells are not able to undergo autophagy. So what are the causes of the foamy macrophages in the bone marrow? In this case, it is the lysosomal storage disorder, which is a Gaucher's disease. Other causes of these foamy macrophages are Niemann-Pick disease or Tay-Sachs disease or other lysosomal disorders that you can see. The investigations required for the diagnosis of Gaucher's disease is, yes, anybody? You can type, I can see your answers. Yes, what are the tests that you should perform for the diagnosis of Gaucher disease? Not, yes, the HNA stain can be done. The slides prepared from the bone marrow examination can be done. Then the slides obtained from the liver and spleen biopsy or liver biopsy helps in diagnosing the Gaucher's disease. Also, DNA testing can be done. And the level of glucocerebrocytes and the leukocytes are helpful in the diagnosis of the disease. Yes, Naveen, I'm not able to see the complete question. How do we know that it is Gaucher's and not Niemann-Pick disease? See, this is the cytoplasm appears to be very foamy. There is accumulation of mainly lipid materials in the Gaucher's disease. Deficiency of what enzyme leads to Gaucher's disease? I'll tell you in brief, which leads to the accumulation of lipid material in the cell, which gives appearance of a foamy cell. Whereas in Niemann-Pick, it gives the appearance of a wrinkled tissue paper appearance. The deposition of the component or the material that is deposited in the cell is different than that of the lipids seen in Gaucher's disease. जब भी lipids deposit होते हैं cell में, it gives a foamy appearance. ये इसके close DDs हैं. Gaucher's disease and Niemann-Pick disease एक दूसरे के बहुत ही close differentials हैं. And you should be able to differentiate between the two. I will show you the picture of two as well. Then the genetic defect and the types of Gaucher's disease, I'll tell you in brief, and what are the lysosomal storage disorder. Then there is a table given in your book of the lysosomal storage disorder. They can be classified as glycogenosis, sphingolipidosis, sulfidosis, mucopolysaccharidosis, and other lysosomal disorders like Wolman's disease. There is a very good table given in your book in the Robbins. There you can see the close differentials of Gaucher's disease. Now in brief, I'll tell you about the Gaucher's. It mainly refers to a cluster. It is mainly an autosomal recessive disorder and occurs due to the mutation of the gene that encodes for glucocerebrosidase. It is an enzyme which is responsible for the metabolism of the glucocerebroside. So because of the deficiency of this enzyme, there is accumulation of glucocerebroside in the cells, in the lysosomes. It is the most common lysosomal storage disorder, and there are mainly three types: type 1, type 2 and type 3 Gaucher's disease. Type 1 is the most common, seen in 99% of the cases, and it is the non-neuronopathic form. The storage of the cerebrocytes is mainly limited to the mononuclear phagocytes throughout the body, but there is no involvement of the brain. That is very important to remember, that there is no involvement of the brain. The splenic and the skeletal involvement dominate this pattern. Mainly the spleen is involved, as well as the skeletal muscles are involved. It is found principally in the Jews of European stock, or the ethnicity is also very important. And the individuals with this disorder, they have reduced but detectable levels of cerebrosity this time. Depending on the enzyme activity कि कितना deficient है, there are different types होते हैं Gaucher's के. इसमें partial activity of the enzyme is present, so some enzyme is present and able to digest it, so that the person can lead a normal, healthy life. But also the deficient होते हैं, liver enlarged है, spleen enlarged है, but adulthood तक normal life expectancy होती है patient की, because the brain is not involved in such type. In type 2, which is known as the acute neuronopathic disease, it is the infantile form. It has got no predilection for juice. In these patients, there is no detectable enzyme activity in the tissues. Hepatosplenomegaly is also seen, but the clinical picture is dominated by a progressive deterioration of the CNS system, leading to death at an early age. And the third type, or type 3, is intermediate between type 1 and type 2. These patients, they have systemic involvement, which is characteristic of type 1, but the progressive central. Now, the course of the disease is obviously going to depend on the clinical subtype. In type 1, the symptoms and the signs, they appear first in the adult life and are related to splenomegaly or the bone involvement. Most commonly, as I told you, because of these cells, they are replacing the marrow elements, so the patient is going to present with thrombocytopenia or pancytopenia secondary to hypersplenism. Because of the involvement of the bone marrow, there are going to be fractures, bone pain, if there is extensive involvement of the marrow space. Although the disease is progressive in adults, it is compatible with long life. Type 2 and type 3, CNS involvement occurs, leading to convulsions, progressive mental deterioration, and other organs such as liver, spleen, lymph nodes are also affected. The major organs that are affected by these lysosomal disorders are spleen, liver, bone marrow, and lymph nodes. Also, the skeletal muscles are involved in the type 1 Gaucher's disease. This is a microscopic picture. The first picture that you are seeing, जो blue दिख रहा है, this is because of this is right stain done on bone marrow. ये बड़े-बड़े cells जो दिख रहे हैं, and जो ये बड़ा सा blue cell दिख रहा है, this is the Gaucher cell. This is the Gaucher cell, and this is the accumulation of the cerebrocyte, which is giving it a foamy appearance. ठीक है, if any doubt, you can ask me at the end of the class कि ऐसा क्यों है and क्या है, you can ask me at the end of the class. The distended phagocytic cells, उनको बोलते हैं Gaucher cells. They are found in the spleen, liver, bone marrow, lymph node, tonsils, thymus. You can see it in a number of layers. These cells, they are PAS positive. They are strongly positive for PAS because there is accumulation of lipid in the cells, and lipids are positive for PAS. So this is going to be PAS positive. With electron microscopy, there is going to be a fibrillary cytoplasm, which appears as elongated distended lysosomes, which are filled with lipid. There is mainly lipid accumulation in this. Membrane होती है जो membrane में lipid होता है, because that lipid is not being able to digest by the enzyme, deficient enzyme levels, so that gets accumulated in the cell, giving it a foamy appearance. Then in the picture B, this is again a Gaucher cell. This is an HNE cell, HNE stain, showing a large cell with nuclei pushed to the periphery, and the cytoplasm is abundant, foamy, eosinophilic. So most likely this is Gaucher's disease. Then next is case 2. A 4-month-old child of Jews community presented with abdominal distension, fear, poor feeding, progressive wasting, bilateral axillary and inguinal lymphadenopathy. Examination shows massive splenomegaly and moderate hepatomegaly. Bone marrow lymph node biopsy showed appearance of lipid-laden macrophages. Now, what is the most likely diagnosis? I am giving you a history of a very small child, Ashkenazi Jew patient, presenting with abdominal distension, and this is basically failure to thrive. All this history is failure to thrive. That is, the child is presenting with fever and poor feeding and progressive wasting. That is failure to thrive. So what is the most likely diagnosis? Yes, you can type Niemann Pick disease. Very good, Naveen, Pooja and Mohit. This is Niemann Pick disease. Gaucher's disease late onset के साथ present होती है. Early childhood में अगर present होती है, mainly in the infants, it leads to progressive CNS involvement followed by death. और अगर कोई elderly present हो रहा है with such symptoms, then we are suspecting a Gaucher's disease. But if we see a child presenting with such symptoms, hepatosplenomegaly, failure to thrive, and everything, that means we're dealing with Niemann-Pick disease. What is the likely possibility in Niemann-Pick disease? What are the different types? Type A, Type B, and the rare one, Type C. The genetic defect I'm going to discuss. What are the common organs and what is the biochemical test case? What is the biochemical test in this? Since it is autosomal recessive and mainly seen in occurs in a heterogeneous heterozygosity, so DNA analysis can be done. There is a mutant allele which is present mainly in the maternal chromosome. So DNA analysis can be done, which is the gene for Niemann-Pick disease is mainly present on chromosome number 11p. The gene that codes for enzyme sphingomyelinase, which is mainly deficient in Niemann-Pick disease, is present on chromosome number 11p and mainly found in the maternal chromosome. So DNA analysis of the patient can be done. Okay. Now, in brief about the Niemann-Pick disease. Niemann-Pick disease, type A and type B. It is again a lysosomal disorder, which is because of the accumulation of sphingomyelin due to a deficiency of the enzyme sphingomyelinase. Now, type A is severe infantile form with extensive neurological involvement, marked accumulation of sphingomyelin, and progressive wasting and early death within first 3 years of life. Because there is CNS involvement followed by progressive failure to thrive, there is death within first 3 years of life. In contrast, the patients with type B, they've got organomegaly, again hepatosplenomegaly, but there is no CNS involvement. Patients, they usually survive to adulthood. As with Tay-Sachs disease, which is another lysosomal disorder, it is more common in Ashkenazi Jews. ऐसी हिस्ट्री के साथ जनरली आपको एग्जाम में भी आता है एंड इट कैन बी आस्क्ड एज अ एमसीक्यू एज वेल कि एस्केनाजी ज्यू पेशेंट था, चाइल्ड था, प्रेजेंटेड विद हेपेटोस्प्लेनोमेगाली, फेलियर टू थ्राइव, देन इट इज नीमैन्स-पिक डिजीज. Clinical manifestations of the disease, they may be present at birth and they become evident by 6 months of age. Infants, they generally have a protuberant abdomen because of the hepatosplenomegaly. Once the manifestations they appear, they're followed by progressive failure to thrive, fever, poor feeding, vomiting, lymphadenopathy, as well as progressive deterioration of the psychomotor function. Death usually occurs within first or second, third year of life. Then there is a type C, which is a rare form, and it is more common than type A and type B combined. Mutation mainly occurs in two genes, that is the NPC gene 1 and NPC gene 2. Unlike the most storage disorder, Niemann-Pick disease type C is primarily due to the defect in the non-enzymatic lipid transport. पहले में lipid accumulate हो जाता है सेल में, and this में lipid transport defect होता है. The NPC is membrane bound, whereas NPC2 gene जो होता है that is soluble. Both of them are involved in the transport of the free cholesterol from the lysosomes to the cytoplasm. So वो lysosomes में ही stored रह जाता है because it is not being able to carry it into the cytoplasm where the lipid is required for its function, for getting converted and for storage. So it gets mainly accumulated in the lysosomes only because there is defect in the transport. Children of Niemann-Pick disease can present as hydrocephalus or stillbirth, neonatal hepatitis, or most commonly as a chronic for progressive neurological damage. The clinical course is marked by ataxia, vertical supranuclear gaze palsy, dystonia, dysarthria, and psychomotor regression. These are all CNS symptoms. There is mainly CNS damage in Niemann-Pick disease. This is an H&E stain section in which you can watch distended cells having foamy cytoplasm, and the nucleus is again pushed to the periphery. The wrinkled tissue paper appearance that I told you is mainly seen in Gaucher's disease and not in Niemann-Pick. It is a feature of Gaucher's disease. The wrinkled or the crumpled tissue paper appearance that you call is mainly a feature of Gaucher's and not this. The cells, they are again dilated, abundant foamy cytoplasm, nucleus pushed to the periphery, seen in a child presenting with hepatosplenomegaly. On electron microscopy, how can you confirm it? On electron microscopy, there are going to be vacuoles that are the secondary lysosomes that are going to contain the concentric laminated myelin figures which are known as zebra bodies. Electron microscopy पे you're going to see concentric laminating secretions or the myelin figures which are known as zebra bodies and seen in Niemann Pick disease. That is classical of Niemann Pick disease. इलेक्ट्रॉन माइक्रोस्कोपिक फीचर्स दोनों के पता होने चाहिए, गाउशर्स के भी एंड नीमन पिक के भी. ठीक है. नाउ दिस इज केस 3. Okay, a known case of multiple myeloma presented with a progressive decrease in the urine output, generalized edema, and low blood pressure. On investigation, there is proteinuria, hypoalbuminemia, and deranged lipid profile. So, what is happening in this patient? Yes, anybody? A case of multiple myeloma, which is a plasma cell leukemia of the blood, in which there is malignant plasma cells circulating in the blood. Now, the patient is presenting with decrease in the urine output and edema and low BP. So, what is the most likely thing? Yes, it is amyloidosis. But what are the changes? What organ is mainly involved in this? Pooja, you've made a diagnosis which is right. But then what organ is getting involved in this because of amyloidosis? Yes, it is kidney. Amyloidosis can be seen in any organ of the body. But in this, mainly the organ that is being damaged is kidney, which is leading to decrease in the urine output, edema, and low BP. Also, there is proteinuria. Normally, the proteinuria is less than 150 milligram per day. But presence of more than 3.5 gram per DL is nephrotic range of proteinuria. That means the patient has landed into nephrotic syndrome because the patient is presenting with edema as well as more than 3.5 gram per DL of protein in the urine. This is the nephrotic range proteinuria, followed by hypoalbuminemia and deranged in the lipid profile. Yes. What are the other organs that are involved by amyloidosis? Yes, you can type your answers. What all organs are affected by amyloidosis? Spleen, heart, liver. Very good. In kidney, what are the major sites of amyloidosis? The amyloid gets deposited mainly in what areas of the kidney? Yes, it is mainly glomeruli, followed by it is yes. No, space of Dissay is in liver. I am asking about the kidney. It is mainly around the glomeruli and the vessels. Very good. It is mainly around the glomeruli and the vessels, followed by tubules and the interstitium. Amyloid gets deposited everywhere in the kidney, but primarily it affects the glomeruli, followed by the vessels, and then the interstitium and the tubules. Likely possibility, it is the kidney involvement by the amyloidosis. What other investigations are required? Yes. What are the special tests that you perform for the diagnosis of amyloidosis? Yes, anybody? Congo red stain, very good. Apart from Congo red stain, name other two stains. Any other two stains? Yes, biopsy. But biopsy, what are the sites for biopsy? Methyl violet is correct, but Sudan black is no. Sudan black is only for lipids. It is not done for amyloid. Apart X-ray crystallography, okay. Fat, pad, and rectum, very good. The ideal biopsy for diagnosis of amyloidosis is rectal biopsy, but we don't do it. We take the biopsy from the abdominal fat. Okay, abdominal fat or from the ear lobules, but ideally abdominal fat biopsy is done for the diagnosis of amyloidosis. Then for special stains, apart from Congo red, methyl violet, thioflavin T is a special stain that can be used. Then HNE, gentian violet, methyl violet, and PAS can be used. Or simple HNE can also be used. Then immunofluorescent like anti-kappa and anti-lambda, they are useful in cases of primary amyloidosis, which occurs in cases of multiple myeloma. So immunofluorescent stains like anti-kappa and anti-lambda. Thioflavin T. You need to remember at least 4-5 stains. They are asked in Viva because we have a specimen of amyloid kidney kept for exam. Also, you can get a slide of amyloidosis. So they will ask you about these special stains of amyloid in your Viva. So you should be thorough with at least 4 or 5 stains. In this case, yes, since the systemic involvement has occurred, so a kidney biopsy will be required for the diagnosis of this. But sometimes those patients who are presenting only with secondary amyloidosis, which is followed by chronic inflammatory disorders, in that case, you're going to take abdominal fat biopsy. But yes, when there is only single organ involvement and you want to know the diagnosis, then you are going to take kidney biopsy for the diagnosis of amyloidosis. Yes, this was a question asked by Prasanna. You will not take fat biopsy because the organ that is being involved is kidney, so a kidney biopsy will be required for the diagnosis of this. Then what is meant by primary and secondary? I'll show you a picture that how primary and secondary amyloidosis occurs. And secondary amyloidosis, what are the causes? It is mainly seen in chronic inflammatory disorders. And what are the histopathological features? I will tell you in brief. Then I have another history. A 68-year-old Caucasian man was admitted to hospital with anasarca and nephrotic syndrome. On investigation, there was proteinuria, which was 25 grams per day, and the urea and the creatinine levels, they were markedly increased. Hemodialysis was performed and the patient started improving symptomatically. So what are the most likely diagnoses? Yes, anybody? You'll have to type your answers. This is again a case of amyloidosis. Okay. So what are the investigations required? Again, you are going to perform biopsy followed by special stains for amyloid. Then what are the different types of amyloidosis? Mainly primary and secondary amyloidosis and their pathogenesis. I'm going to show you in a picture that you should know. Beta 2 microglobulin, Anand, is mainly associated with what type of amyloidosis? Beta 2 microglobulin is a type of amyloid. दो टाइप की amyloidosis होती है, mainly primary and secondary. Primary में the amyloid that is deposited is mainly amyloid light chain protein, and in case of secondary amyloidosis, it is mainly amyloid associated protein. The amyloid beta 2 microglobulin is mainly associated in patients who are on hemodialysis. That is the major component of the amyloid in that cases. Amyloidosis हो गया following the hemodialysis, उसमें जो major component of amyloid होता है, that is beta 2 microglobulin. मोनिशा अल्जाइमर्स इसमें नहीं होगा because there is no CNS involvement as such. अभी इसमें नहीं दिख रहा है. Yes, Alzheimer's is also an example of accumulation of misfolded protein. Amyloidosis is also mainly a disorder in which there is accumulation of misfolded protein. Alzheimer's में जो amyloid deposit होता है वो different होता है, but this patient does not have any symptoms of Alzheimer's. I will tell you the name of the 4 stains in the end. For sure, I will show you a picture and what are the organs involved in amyloidosis. The major organs that are involved are the kidney, spleen, skin, and other heart, and any other organ can be involved. The clinical features that are mainly that mainly favor the diagnosis of amyloidosis are the patient can present with weakness, weight loss, lightheadedness, syncope, can be renal involvement. There can be followed by proteinuria, nephrotic range proteinuria, cardiac amyloidosis, or any GI symptoms. Sometimes the patient present only with macroglossia. There is enlargement of the tongue, giving rise to the designation of tumor-forming amyloid of the tongue. Respiratory tract can be involved focally or diffusely from larynx to the small bronchioles. So basically any organ in the body can be affected, but the major organs that are affected are liver, spleen, kidney, heart and skin. Even in the skin there is deposition of amyloid. Okay, so in brief about amyloidosis, what is amyloidosis? Amyloidosis is a condition which is associated with a number of inherited and inflammatory disorders in which there is, these points are very, very important when somebody asks you a definition of amyloid, that it is extracellular deposit of fibrillary protein which is homogeneous acellular. I have not written it here, but it is very important when you define amyloid. It is extracellular deposit of fibrillary protein which is eosinophilic, homogeneous and acellular. Okay, and is responsible for tissue damage and the functional abnormalities. These abnormal fibrils are produced by the aggregation of misfolded proteins. So these misfolded proteins, they become insoluble. Earlier, they are soluble in the normal folded configuration, but when they are in the misfolded configuration, they become insoluble, and that is why they are deposited in the organ. The fibrillary deposits, they bind to a variety of proteoglycans and glycosaminoglycans in the body, including the heparin sulfate, dermatan sulfate, plasma proteins, mainly the amyloid component, that is the P component. Next, this is a small diagram which is showing how does the AL and the AA protein form in the body. There is a naive folded protein, okay, in which some mutations are occurring. These mutations can be acquired mutations or they can be followed by any chronic inflammation. If there is any acquired mutation which is seen mainly in multiple myeloma, there is monoclonal B lymphocyte proliferation. Plasma cells जो होते हैं, they are formed from the B cells only and they are monoclonal. The most important term in this is that they are monoclonal. They are same. They appear same. Monoclonal B lymphocyte proliferation हो जाती है, which leads to more formation of plasma cells. Plasma cells, now these they are going to secrete light chains. Plasma cells are mainly responsible for the formation of immunoglobulin in the body, antibodies in the body. So these are going to secrete immunoglobulin light chains. Because the proteolysis is not going to occur, there is limited proteolysis, there is going to be formation of amyloid light chain protein. This AL protein gets deposited in various organs. Similarly, in chronic inflammation कौन कौन सी होती है हमारी बॉडी में? There is chronic granulomatous inflammation like TB, syphilis, any malignancy, mainly the hematological malignancies apart from multiple myeloma. They're going to secrete a lot. There is going to be increased number of macrophage activation. Macrophage, they mainly secrete interleukin 1 and 6. These are the most important cytokines which are secreted by the macrophages. Now, these interleukin 1 and 6, they are going to act on the liver cells to synthesize a protein which is serum associated amyloid protein, which is mainly synthesized by the liver because IL-6 and IL-1 ने उसको stimulate करती है. Because of the limited proteolysis, this amyloid associated protein is formed, which gets deposited in various organs. Then there is production of normal amount of mutant protein, that is transthyretin. This transthyretin undergoes some mutation and this mutated transthyretin gets aggregated in the form of ATTR protein, which gets deposited mainly in the Mediterranean disorder or the Mediterranean amyloidosis जो होती है. ठीक है, that is amyloidotic neuropathies और familial Mediterranean fever जो भी होता है इसमें. ठीक है. Then there is native folded protein जो amyloidogenic intermediate बनाता है, that is the misfolded protein, and monomers assemble to form a beta sheeted structure. Okay, another important question: what is the other name of amyloidosis? Yes, anybody, you can type. What is the other name of amyloidosis? Yes, anybody? I'm waiting for your answers. What is the other name for amyloidosis? It is not given in your book. किसी ने और दूसरी बुक से पढ़ा हो तो? The other name for amyloidosis is beta fibrillosis. Now, why do you call it beta fibrillosis? Because of its physical nature. Physical nature में क्या होता है? Mainly, when you see it on X-ray crystallography, there is going to be a characteristic cross beta pleated sheet. जो amyloid proteins होते हैं, when they are getting aggregated in the body, they are in the form of cross beta pleated sheets. That is why, because of these configuration, that is the cross beta pleated sheet, and these are the fibrillary proteins, you call them beta fibrillosis. You call amyloidosis as beta fibrillosis also. It is an old terminology, but yes, it is the other name of amyloidosis. Anybody can ask you in Viva. Now, what is the chemical nature of amyloid? There is majorly 95% of this amyloid protein is going to be formed of fibrillary protein. Either it is AL or AA or ATTR or beta-2 microglobulin or transthyretin, and the 5% of the amyloid is formed of other component like P component and other glycoproteins. Okay. Now, classification of amyloidosis according to the major fibrillary protein and associated diseases which are leading to amyloidosis, they are classified into systemic, hereditary, and localized. Systemic is Immunoglobulin light chain amyloidosis, that is the primary amyloidosis, mainly seen in multiple myeloma and other monoclonal plasma cell proliferation. The major fibrillary protein is AL, that is amyloid light chain protein. The second type is reactive systemic amyloidosis, which occurs in chronic inflammatory condition. The major fibrillary protein is amyloid associated protein. इनके प्रीकर्सर प्रोटीन भी होते हैं. इसका प्रीकर्सर प्रोटीन होता है इम्यूनोग्लोबुलिन लाइट चेन. इसका प्रीकर्सर प्रोटीन होता है सीरम अमाइलॉइड एसोसिएटेड, which is mainly synthesized by liver. And the third one is hemodialysis associated, which is mainly seen in chronic kidney failure. And the major protein, fibrillar protein, is amyloid beta 2 microglobulin. This is systemic amyloidosis. Then there is hereditary amyloidosis. There is familial Mediterranean fever, familial amyloidotic neuropathy, and systemic senile amyloidosis, in which there is accumulation of AA and ATTR, that is amyloid transthyretin protein and amyloid associated protein. And the third one is localized, in which only a particular system is involved, seen in senile cerebral, जिसमें होता है amyloid beta 2 amyloid protein is the major fibrillary protein seen in Alzheimer's disease, but only localized to the brain. Then there is endocrine, which is seen in medullary carcinoma of thyroid and islet cells of Langerhans, seen in type 2 diabetes, and it is amyloid calcitonin, and this is AIAPP. Then the last one is isolated atrial amyloidosis, that is amyloid anti-natriuretic factor, natriuretic factor, atrial natriuretic factor, which is seen in heart, that is seen in cardiac amyloidosis. When the amyloid is accumulated in larger amount, the organ becomes enlarged and the tissue is going to appear as grey and waxy with firm consistency. We have a Prasanna, I will answer your question in another 5 minutes. We're about to end the session and then I'll answer your question, okay? When the amyloid is accumulated in the larger amount, the organ is going to definitely become enlarged and it becomes pale and waxy because amyloid is the acellular material. We have a specimen of kidney. उसको हम waxy kidney बोलते हैं. We'll show you in the class when you come for your practical exam. उसको हम waxy kidney बोलते हैं, and then they're going to ask you because of enlarged kidney. Histologically, the amyloid deposition is always extracellular. It is very, very important. It is always extracellular, begins between the cells, and it is often adjacent to the basement membrane. As the amyloid accumulates, it is going to encroach the cells in the time surrounding and destroying them. In the form associated with plasma cell proliferation, there is going to be perivascular and vascular deposits. Now, the histological diagnosis is almost and entirely based on the staining characteristic. The most common staining technique that is used is Congo red staining, which under ordinary light is going to impart a pink or red color to the amyloid. Whereas when seen under polarized light, it is going to show apple green birefringence. Okay, now they can ask you what is meant by apple green birefringence and why do you see apple green? Under polarized light, there is apple green birefringence because of its cross beta pleated sheet appearance. So light ऐसे reflect करता है because of its appearance of the beta cross pleated sheet that it gives a birefringence to the amyloid because of its conformation, beta pleated conformation, it gives a birefringence to the amyloid. Conformation can be obtained by electron microscopy, which is going to show non-oriented thin fibrils. AA, AL and ATTR are the types of amyloid which can be distinguished by specific immunohistochemical staining, which is not important for you, of course. Nobody is going to ask you from that in Viva. Okay, now this is the picture of, yes, anybody? What organ is this? Can you see? Can you tell me? What organ is this? Yes, anybody? What organ is this? Yes, this is heart. Very good. This is heart. इसमें distorted cardiac muscles हैं ये. This is the cardiac muscles which are distorted, and this is amyloid. This is homogeneous, pink. Homogeneous मतलब एक जैसा uniform है. It is pink or eosinophilic or cellular and fibrillary. This is not a very good picture, but this is fibrillary material, and it is getting deposited between the cells. As I told you, it is always extracellular. These are the fibers, and this is getting deposited between the fibers. Okay, this is cardiac amyloidosis. Now this is another picture. Now what organ is this? Yes, anybody? What organ is this? Very good. This is kidney. These are the glomeruli that we are seeing. Okay, I'm showing them with my cursor. These are the glomeruli. These are the, yes, what are these? These are the tubules, and these are the, what are these that I'm marking? This is kidney, yes, but what are these that I'm highlighting? Yes, these are vessels. Very good. This is glomeruli. These are the vessels. There is going to be deposition of amyloid around the vessels. These are your tubules, and this is the space between them is interstitium. As you can see, this is a complete distortion of the glomeruli by the deposition of pink homogeneous material. I've enlarged the picture. This is deposition of the homogeneous material in the glomeruli. This is amyloid. There is deposition of amyloid around the vessels, and also you can see that at some places the tubules are also thickened. So this is renal amyloidosis. Okay, very good. Okay, now question. This question was asked to me by, I think, one of you asked the question. Um, that is it correct to say multiple myeloma associated amyloidosis is primary? Yes, it is primary. Because in case of multiple myeloma, the primary precursor protein is AL protein. उसको नाम ही वैसे दिया गया है that the amyloidosis occurring in case of multiple myeloma is primary. Because causes जो immunoglobulin light chain restriction, जो immunoglobulin secrete कर रहे हैं light chains, they are getting misfolded and they are getting accumulated in the bone marrow and they are getting accumulated in different organs. So yes, it is primary amyloidosis which is getting deposited in the various organs. Do we know the reason of primary amyloidosis? Yes, it is because of the abnormal immunoglobulin secretion. So like जो kappa या lambda chains होती हैं, so plasma cells हैं, because they are leukemic cells, they are monoclonal cells, so they are going to secrete a lot of immunoglobulins, a lot of kappa chains and lambda chains, which get misfolded and which are getting accumulated. Proteolysis limited हो जाती है because the secretion जिस रेट पे होती है उतनी रेट पे प्रोटियोलिसिस नहीं हो पाती है, so they get misfolded and they get accumulated in the body. So this is primary amyloidosis. Okay. I hope you are satisfied with the answer, Prasanna. Previous histo slide, which one? The heart slide, Mehak? This one? Mehak, are you talking about this slide? Cardiac amyloidosis? Okay. See, this is a cardiac. This is not a very good picture as I told you. These are my cardiac cells. ये cardiac fibers हैं. Muscle होती है, heart muscles होती है, ये heart muscles हैं. And this light pink part is the amyloid. Amyloid deposition is always extracellular and it is fibrillary. This is not a very good picture as I told you, but this deposition, as you can see, is between the cardiac muscle fibers. This light pink thing is amyloid, which is a cellular eosinophilic material and is getting deposited between the cells. It never occurs within the cell. It is always extracellular. यहाँ पे deposition दिख रही. Later on, when the amyloidosis is so much, it is going to cause atrophy of these cells or the pressure atrophy of these cells and loss of function of the surrounding cells. Yes, this is the heart slide. Okay, this is amyloid and these are the cardiac muscle fibers. Yes. Yes, it is going to appear as apple green refringence. I don't have a slide of it. I'm so sorry. I don't have a picture of it. But yes, it is because of the beta pleated sheets. You're going to see apple green refringence in all the cases. This light pink area is going to show you apple green refringence. Yes, anybody? Any other question? अमाइलोइडोसिस बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ना because हमारे पास इसका organ भी है and you can get a slide of it as well and you get questions in theory as well on amyloidosis. You can get a long question, you can get a short note on it. It is very very important. मैंने सिर्फ ब्रीफ में रखा है अभी अमाइलोइडोसिस but you should know कि इनके physical और chemical properties क्या होती हैं. You should know the classification and what is the pathogenesis of amyloidosis. What are the major organs that are affected. I have shown you two pictures because these are the two major organs that are involved. But you can also see amyloidosis in the skin, kidney, liver and spleen also. Yes. Any other questions? Ma'am, in this slide, the stain is no. This is HNE stain. This is HNE stain. Simple HNE. Congo red में, if I'm using Congo red stain, you're going to see it as pink red or a reddish material. Also, they can ask you in Viva कि हम Congo red stain जो करते हैं, तो the sections जो हम काटते हैं histo के, they're going to be a little, they should be a little more thick so that they can retain the stain. So this is not Congo red. This is a simple HNE slide. You will not be given Congo red stain. Yes, 4 dyes for amyloidosis. It can be methyl violet, HNE, Congo red, thioflavin T, which is a fluorescent dye. Then immunofluorescent stains like anti-kappa, anti-lambda. You can also use PAS stain for amyloid. Yes, any other question? Abhi bahut time hai. You can please repeat biopsy. Okay, biopsy is the ideal one is the rectal biopsy. And you can take abdominal fat biopsy. You can also take a skin biopsies can be taken, but जो abdominal fat pad biopsy करते हैं, it is very ideal. And you can also take biopsies from the ear lobules. And another stain I forgot to tell you, it is Alchin blue. Due to the presence of glycosaminoglycans, it is going to stain it blue. So you can also use Alchin blue. It is also a special stain. Congo red, methyl violet or crystal violet, thioflavin, Alchin blue, PAS, toluidine blue. There are a number of stains. You should know at least 4-5 stains. Okay, the name of the stain slowly. I'm so sorry. Yes, you can write down the stain. First one is Congo red stain. Then it can be, I will type it for you people if you don't mind. HNE stain, Congo red stain, I am unable to type, sorry. Congo red stain, HNE, then Alchin blue, PAS, that is a periodic acid shift stain, toluidine blue, methyl violet or crystal violet, thioflavin, which is a fluorescent dye and seen under UV light. You can use immunofluorescent stains like anti-kappa and anti-lambda. I hope I'm clear now. Yes, any other doubt?